You can all make some more noise than that.
Amy Keating Rogers. M.A. Larson. And Cindy Morrow.
And moderating the panel for you today will be Final Draft from Everfree Radio.
I'm not nearly as cool. Hi, guys. It's the first one. How's everyone doing? So they tell me this is a convention about ponies. So I brought notes. So everybody, yeah, this is the writers panel. I think another round of applause for these guys right off the bat, because these are amazing people. Let me just scramble for my watch. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna scramble for my watch. We gotta make sure that we do this all in time. So really quick, while I reach in my pocket for my cell phone, yeah. Success. Really quick, so you guys know there is going to be a Q&A at the end of this panel. Now, I always have to give this warning, so I'm going to give this warning again. These guys, well, they can talk about season 6, right, Meghan?
Yes, I am allowed to talk about season
You're going to talk
but
about
nothing between.
Yeah, you're going to talk about the Mars colony that
Yes,
Luna
the one.
started?
Yeah, Luna's moon colony.
Oh,
It's
the
kind of a
moon
risky
colony.
thing to do for
We
a
can't talk
season,
about the
but,
Mars one yet?
Okay.
You gotta warn me. Anyway, so guys, really quick, obviously they can't talk about any of the episodes or any of the stuff that has not been released yet. It's legal mumbo jumbo you don't even want to worry about. So when it gets to Q&A, coming up and saying what happens in season 3, I think the best they're gonna be able to say is ponies. So bear that in mind. All right. So first off, I just want to, say welcome, Cindy. This is your first convention, right?
Yes, it is.
Everybody, Cindy Morrow. And I wanted to know if you could just, share a couple of the episodes you wrote, because I think these guys know a few of your episodes.
Well, it's been a while. Maybe you guys could tell me which episodes I wrote.
Well, I hear a rumor that you wrote Griffin the Brush-Off.
That was my first episode that I wrote.
And I also heard that you wrote a certain episode, it had a song in it. People don't really know it. It's called like Winter Cleanup, Winter Wrap-Up.
Yes.
And what's your reaction to the bronies here? Did you expect to see this when you went into writing?
Oh, no, I didn't expect to see it, but I'm really happy to see it now.
And to your left and to the audience's right is the indomitable M.A. Larson.
Indomitable. Hi, everybody.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
Well, and M.A. Larson here, if you guys don't know, is responsible for a few minor episodes, including Return of Harmony.
Yeah.
It's About Time. Do you remember any others?
Sonic Rainboom.
Yeah.
Now, you wrote the episode that defined my favorite character, Luna Eclipse, so.
That is also true.
You've got some fans in the audience. All right, to your left and to the audience's right, I keep mixing that up, is Amy Keating Rogers. And why don't you share some of the episodes you wrote?
I co-wrote Ticketmaster, did Bridal Gossip, Fall Weather Friends, Dog and Pony Show, Everybody loves the Dog and Pony Show.
That's because they're all whiners.
The Best Night Ever, Cutie Pox, Last Roundup, Mystery on the Canterlot Express, last.
You've got to leave some for Meghan.
Friend Indeed.
And last but certainly not least, Meghan McCarthy, the show, it's show editor, is that the term?
Story editor.
Story editor.
That's why she has 2 mics.
And you wrote a couple of the more well-known episodes as well. You did.
I tend to write the episodes where the characters go crazy. So
Party of One, anybody?
I wrote Lesson 0 and Party of One. And then I also wrote Dragon Shy, Green is Not Your Color, Sweet and Elite, and the wedding finale of season 2.
Well, and I think I get to say this because Hasbro has already released this.
Yes.
But you wrote the 2-part intro to season 3 as well.
Yes.
So look forward
The
to that in
season
a week.
premiere next Saturday.
All right, so my first question is a general question for the group, which, I know that you've answered a few times, but how did you get involved in writing for My Little Pony?
I'll go first.
Or did you just trip into it? That happens sometimes.
Lauren and I were friends back in college, only about 3 or 4 years ago. So I worked with Craig on Powerpuff Girls, and so Lauren just contacted me when My Little Pony was in development and asked me if I'd be interested in writing on it, and I said, absolutely not. No, I'm joking. I was really excited to do it. That's the answer.
I wrote 1 episode of Foster Son for Imaginary Friends right at the end. So that's how I met Lauren and Rob Renzetti, who was the story editor then. And I came on season 1 about halfway through. And I was not at all excited to work on the show. That's why I have my initials as my name. But now I love it. I think it's a great show.
Lauren and I first met on Powerpuff Girls, and then she and I were at the Foster's rap party, because we both wrote on that as well, and she said, I'm pitching this show, this new version of My Little Pony, and if it goes through, I'd love for you to write for it. And so I heard about it really early on, and then once it did get picked up, when Hasbro said, yes, we want to make this, she gave me a call, and I got to start writing for it.
Similar, I guess, to a couple people that I had known Lauren from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Had done a couple episodes on that, and so when she knew that she was getting the green light to do Pony, asked me to come on and write some episodes.
Well, something that we've talked about before at writers' panels at other conventions is the balance between the action-based episodes and the characterization-based episodes. And I know that, for example, Meghan, as you admitted earlier, you tend to write the episodes where the characters go crazy, but you also have had your share of episodes where there's, a significant amount of action. For example, the Camelot wedding episodes. And I wanted to know, when you're writing an episode, when you go into it, starting off, and this is for the entire group, excuse me, do you go into it having almost a sense of the balance between the characterization elements and the action to it, or is it something more that the story develops organically, and if it happens to have more characterization or it happens to have more action, that just is part of the process?
Well, I would say with the 2-part episodes, we kind of go into those episodes knowing that we're going to have sort of the bigger action set pieces, just to it's a big, huge episode. We want there to be some big, huge things happening in it. So we certainly go into it knowing, there will be those kind of set pieces. And then and I would also say though, we're not like, okay, this is going to be really plot driven and this is going to be a lot of action and the characters, whatever, they can do whatever, it doesn't matter. We always start from a place of what the character wants and what they're trying to achieve, and it's just the obstacles that we throw in their way, especially in the two-parters, those become bigger obstacles, more, things where they might have to like fire at people with party cannons or something. And then within the individual, the half-hour episodes of the show, it really, the story itself, the original premise will dictate how the rest of it plays out. If there is going to be kind of action or world building, or if there's going to be more mythology of the show involved. The show isn't serialized. We can't carry a plot from the beginning of the season to the end of the season the way like a lot of action shows would do, but we do try to expand the world and deepen the characters throughout the course of a season. So I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. But it actually leads to another question I had, which is, as story editor, I wanted to know if you guys could maybe walk through for the audience a basic idea of how an episode is constructed, because I know from what we've discussed in the past that you guys have actually, a meeting and you have like a whole process for how these episodes are constructed. So I was wondering if you could kind of detail that for the audience.
Sure. We usually start off the season where we'll have a writers' summit where we'll bring in the people that are gonna do episodes for that season, and everybody needs to come in with a couple of springboard, just little nugget of ideas, or if they've come up with something that they really like and have a fuller story, come in and kind of pitch it to the group, and we'll put it up on a big whiteboard and write down all the ones that we really like, and then we'll kind of go through and pick out, okay, of those, which do we really like, and try to flesh out a premise, which just basically gives what's the beginning, middle, and end of the story. It doesn't have to be super detailed at that point, but you have to have a very strong sense of who the character is, what they want, what's going to keep them from getting what they want, and then how do they ultimately succeed in the end. So we'll have those premises. They'll get assigned out to the different writers. A lot of times it's based on different people have different strengths. And so you'll kind of say, okay, they are really good, or they really love to do sort of the more epic, action-y stuff. We'll give that person an episode. Or this person is so great at Rarity's voice. Let's have them do this episode. And then in the case of season 3, myself and I would try to get 2 writers at the same time to work on different stories. We'll come in and we have a big board, and we break it into the acts of the story and basically break out every scene that we want to see play out. And sometimes we'll pitch jokes in the room, and sometimes it'll just be, run with this, this is the scene where Twilight is going to confront her brother. That's all you need to know, and then they'll go off and write an outline, and then we'll get notes on that, and then they go to script and get notes on that, and it's kind of the basic process.
No, I think it's really good. Well, you mentioned that when you're picking the author for the specific episodes, often it's based on who can write different characters the best. And a very popular question within the fandom is, who's your favorite pony? But I'm going to adapt it. Who is your favorite pony to write for?
Somebody else.
That's everyone.
Rarity.
And why is that?
She gets to be, I love those characters who are so, self-inflated. Like, she's got heart to her, but she's also got a pretty big ego when she needs to, and you can get some good dialogue out of that. So she's my favorite to write.
I love writing for Pinkie Pie. It's fun to be really silly, and kind of all bets are off with Pinkie, so you can go anywhere with her, and my brain goes that way a lot of the time, so I get to kind of, things that I think of that are silly, often Pinkie gets to say, so it's like this fulfillment.
Do you have like a Pinkie
goofiness.
notebook you keep with you in case a silly thought pops in?
Well, I should have an actual notebook, but I don't. But I have scraps of paper.
There's an artist alley across the hall here that might carry those. I don't know.
Yeah, I do have a magnet pad on the fridge, and when I'm cooking, all of a sudden I'll think of things and I'll just scratch it down, and I have used that for Pinky a lot, actually.
I think my favorite is Rainbow Dash.
Them too.
I think I'm a lot like her. Kind of tomboyish, says a lot of things before thinking. I also really like characters who have to learn lessons and make mistakes, because I think that you become a better person by learning from your mistakes. So she's my favorite.
I don't know if I have a favorite one because I feel like they all just have something interesting about their personalities that it's always fun to explore. I like writing for Twilight because I think I think I'm a little Twilight, sort of like little fear of authority, of like, you know, wanting to do the right thing and being a little bit, you know, neurotic about things sometimes. So I think that her voice is probably easier for me to find because I'm just like, what would I do? I would go crazy and freak out because I missed my deadline. So yeah, she's definitely fun for me.
Well, and M.A. Larson here, you helped define in one episode my favorite character, and you helped define her voice, and that's Luna. And so I wanted to know if you could describe for the audience how you came up with Luna's personality, because I know that you went through some revisions in that, and how you came up with her spoken style and the royal Canterlot voice and all that.
Yeah, I went back to season 1, and I'm like, I gotta hear this character's voice. So I watched the pilot again, and she spoke 6 words or something.
That's more than Vinyl Scratch, at least.
But Lauren had an idea when I went for that story meeting, based on a character from Parks and Rec, which I don't really know, but I watched a few of them, and the character was very funny. I can't remember her name. Does anybody watch that show?
It's Aubrey Plaza's
Yes,
character.
her. And so I actually wrote an entire draft with that version of Luna, which worked really well. It was pretty much the same thing happened. It was just, and she was coming from the same place, this sort of, you know, I'm back from exile and I don't know how to fit in kind of thing. But I can't even remember how it got changed to more, you know, it's more like she's been gone. She doesn't know that society has evolved since she's been gone, so she should be, you know, still speaking in these like archaic ways and things like that. So it just sort of evolved into that late. That's the episode I rewrote most out of all the ones I did because the major character changed.
Well, I think you did a pretty good job with it. You guys agree? Luna over there agrees. Well, you also developed another character that a lot of people here are fans of, and that's Discord. And I think it's interesting when we talked about this, when you described how you came up with Discord, the process for writing the character, you based it off of John Delancey even before they knew John Delancey was going to voice Discord.
Yeah, the whole thing was written and done, and that's when, because we had obviously talked about John Delancey, and that's when we were talking about, you know, could we get him to do the voice? It was long after it was all written. So I was writing with his voice in mind, not knowing he would actually do the voice. So it worked out perfectly.
I think.
Is that what you asked me?
I think so. It's okay if that answer was a bit chaotic. It's okay. Bad joke. Well,
Bad joke.
a question for the group as well. When you're writing these episodes, when you go into it, you know, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic is known for teaching moral stories. You know, each episode, for example, you know, well, the Return to Harmony episode is all about, you know, remembering the power of friendship. Or you look at, like, for example, Griffin the Brush Off, being able to deal with, you know, how to deal with somebody antagonistic like that, and, you know, being loyal to your friends, etc. When you go into the writing process for an episode, do you have a moral in mind before you even start writing the script, or is that something that develops from the script?
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
We have to have the moral. If that's something that you figure out in the story meeting, and sometimes we would get to the end and go, oh, what is the moral of this one? Okay, well, and then you kind of twist and turn and tweak and say, well, it could be this. Well, no, we kind of done that, and you go a different direction. So yeah, you have to have that moral because that's where you're leading to in the end. So yeah.
Well, and I like that M.A. Larson, he wrote Super Sire Speedy 6000. Super Sire Speedy Squeezy 6000. I never can say it right. I'm going to try forever. But I like it that at the end, Applejack hadn't learned anything.
Well, that's exactly what Amy was saying. We got through the whole story, and we're like, there's just no moral.
Wow.
Well, and I think that's kind of one of the, overall though with the show, that's one of the strengths. I think it's one of the reasons why you see a fan base like this is that it has, kind of those universal morals that kind of resonate through the entire script.
And I would say that's why I feel like we like writing for the show. Is so much of the stuff that's out there is very cynical, and as a writer, you have to be in that mindset when you're writing something that's cynical. I mean, you have to be in that place, at least I feel like, or you get taken to that place when you're writing something that's very cynical. So to get the opportunity to write something that you feel good while you're writing it, and you know that at the end it actually has a value beyond just being like entertainment, that it can actually be a positive thing out in the world. I feel like I've talked to these guys and other writers on the show that's part of why we like writing it, is it makes us feel good and makes us feel like we're really contributing something.
Yeah, going to Equestria, in my mind, is it's a wonderful place to go and visit and get to hang out there and have these ponies who all love each other and get along, and yeah, they have flaws and they, have issues and things, but it's a very nice place to go, and I'm glad I couldn't write for CSI. That wouldn't work well for me.
Well, you could, but
I
would
could.
love to read one of your CSI.
Well, you almost did with Mystery on the Friendship Express.
That's about as mysterious as I can get. Somebody mutilating a cake. That's it.
Well, my last question for you guys before we go to Q&A here really quick. So actually, I don't know maybe where we want to line them up, maybe on the side over here, but if you guys have questions for the writers, again, remember, they can't talk about season 3. We know it's happening. Can we confirm that there are ponies in season 3?
I can neither confirm nor deny that there are ponies. No. Yes, there are lots of ponies.
The rumor
It's really
I've heard
good.
is
And
that the
lots
show
of-
will continue to be in color.
I will continue to be in color.
It will be
There-
animated, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we got that covered. But
Yeah.
so if you guys can
And
line
it's
up
gonna
over
be
there.
really good.
And remember, just if you have a question, but while you guys are lining up, one last question for the panelists here, which is there an inside reference on one of your episodes that most people have not noticed, that I'm looking at M.A. Larson right now because I know he's got one, but that they have not noticed that you would like to reveal to the public right now? Something that you were able to work into the script that maybe referenced something that people wouldn't have caught? Because, of course, the show is laden with references.
Yeah.
Or, alternative,
I'm just going to say that I'm really bad at that. So I have surprisingly found that the storyboard artists put those in. So I'd like to give them credit. If
Yes.
any inside references in any of the episodes I wrote you thought I did, thank you.
well, actually, I know that Sibsy and Raven are here somewhere. I don't know if they're in this room, but they're in this convention. So, hi guys, wherever you are. But M.A., I know that you've got at least one.
It's a reference that probably nobody even knows what I'm referencing, but in Swarm of the Century, when Twilight's walking through the town at the beginning and they're putting up the banner and it says, "Welcome, Princess Celeste," it's a reference to my all-time favorite movie, which is The Commitments. They had a banner in that movie that said "Heroin Kills," but they spelled it with an E, so it was like,
Yeah.
So it's a reference to that. Only for me, because nobody's seen The Commitments.
Anything?
I think people have figured out most of my references.
I Love
And-
Lucy, maybe?
Yeah, well, yeah, the I Love Lucy one is a pretty big, blatant one in Last Roundup when they're doing the cherry sorting. But then there are ones, as Cindy noted, that the storyboard artists put in, like when the Cutie Mark Crusaders go bowling, you see the Big Lebowski ponies. I did not put that in there, and I'm so glad they did because it's hilarious. because I also wrote the Fosters episode where they go bowling, and those characters are also in there. So it's just thematic for me.
I don't think that there's any that haven't been, you guys look really carefully at these episodes. So if there's one in there, you found it. But there is one coming up that I'm very excited about. So we'll see if you catch it in the future. But I'm kind of surprised we got it in there. So be on the lookout. It'll be a funny one.
Can I do one more really obscure one?
Yes.
In Secret of My Excess, when Applejack says Twilight, get my robe, it was a reference to the 1980s Paste Picante sauce commercials.
Okay, well, we got a few minutes for Q&A, so let's get to it while we got time.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, Amy, don't regret Derpy.
Okay.
Just saying. Okay. My question is if you could have any celebrity as a guest voice actor or actress on your show, who would you want?
That's a good one.
I don't know. I have to think about that. Anybody else? Somebody?
Yeah, I don't know.
I really wanted Oprah to play Sapphire, the woman,
yeah.
the pony that comes in. That was the voice in my head, was Oprah. Oh, so I wish Oprah could go in and redub that. So.
James Earl Jones. That's mine. James Earl Jones would be hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Hi. Yes, I was just wondering on the royal hierarchy. There's Princess Luna and Princess Celestia, and I was just wondering, is there a king or queen around keeping them from being the queens of Equestria, or is it just because it's a pretty name?
None have been revealed thus far. But now all of a sudden I've confirmed the hierarchy of the. None have, we haven't seen none on the show, but we're constantly building in this. I've spoke about this on a previous panel that the Bible for the show didn't have as big a world as Equestria has become when it first started, and every season a little bit more is added to the mythology, and I'm still making it up. So we may see something like that in the future.
Hi. So what exactly is the process of writing the show? Is there like a big room where all the writers get together and they just have fun with it? Or is it, somebody secluded in the corner of their bedroom writing on a notebook?
Both.
Yeah.
Sometimes with pajamas.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know where this is.
We got a hot mic here.
Yeah, we have the big writers meeting where you beat out the whole thing, but then once that's done, you go to the privacy of your bedroom in your pajamas, and you write your outline and then your script, and that's just you doing that, and then it gets sent to the story editor, and you have email or phone conversations about notes, but the first big figuring it all out is an interaction between a group of people of at least 3.
Thank you.
It is a very strange process because we don't really get together like this very often. It's like once at the beginning, and then story meetings. But
It's not. The show is all. The writing is all freelance. We don't have an office where we all are there all day, and or a writer's room where when a script comes in, we all can kind of punch it up together. It's all done off-site, and then the power of the internet to exchange emails and Skype. A lot of Skype.
Thank you.
Hi. How and who created the character Daring Do?
Oh, who did?
Who created who?
That would be the.
Who created Daring Do?
Daring Do was.
The episode.
Oh, right, that's me.
Who's Daring Do? I actually don't remember if Daring Do's name was Daring Do when I wrote the script. But of course, since that's such an integral part of the story, that came up at the original story meeting with the story editors. So I didn't really invent her, I just wrote about her.
Hi, Rommel.
So I'm not actually here to ask a question, but I'm actually here to deliver something to you guys, which was given to me from a fellow brony who believed very strongly in what this show means and the collective effort and energy that's been put into its actualization and all of this, more or less. So if you don't mind, I'd like to come up and give you these.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's my Pinkie Pie notebook.
Oh no, this is for Cindy. I got one of these before, and I brought it with me because I was told that it would be a good thing to write my con experiences in, and so I brought it with me to this one. So I got mine in left. Oh, that's me.
I think I've gotten one of these before too.
One
Now I have
always
two.
needs another
This
notebook.
will officially
And everybody,
be
just
my
so
Pinkie
everybody
Pie
knows,
notebook.
this is Rommel from Bronies for Good. If you guys have heard of Bronies for Good, they've raised thousands upon thousands of dollars for charity efforts in Africa. So yeah,
$95,000.
yeah, a lot of money for charity. So.
Wow. Thank you.
Had to adjust it, sorry. Hi guys, my question is for Amy. So you've stated in other interviews that at the gala, Ever After from Into the Woods was your inspiration for the song.
Yes.
And I recently listened to the song and they sound so identical to each other. So was it really difficult for you to differentiate the two so they didn't sound the same?
Well, when I wrote those lyrics, I completely wrote it to the tune of Ever After. I then, because I'm a dork who thought that everybody did this, I then recorded the whole thing, me singing it, and I layered the voices because I know how to, I don't know how to use GarageBand, but I know how to use Final Cut. So I recorded myself and it's crazy. So it was this big epic thing, and I don't think it ever got heard by anybody, and that's probably okay. But
Until now.
Until now. But then it referenced it in the script, and so then it was Daniel's job to tweak it enough so that it didn't sound like it. But I mean, I totally cheated off of Sondheim's paper. Steal from the best.
Okay, well, thank you.
Sure.
Well, and that's something interesting to note as well, is that while Daniel Ingram writes the music for the songs, these guys write the lyrics for the songs. So for example, she wrote the lyrics to Winter Wrap Up. So yeah. And for more information on that interplay, go and find the video from Carolot Gardens where we talk to Daniel at the same time as well. But,
Yeah.
Have you guys ever wanted to do more with the more fan-driven characters such as Dr. Hooves or Lyra?
I think the trick with that, right, is that if it's a fan character, that means that it's, in a sense, fan-owned. And I think that, the way that they end up writing the show, and you guys can tell me if I'm saying this right, but, in a sense, those background characters, what I've heard from a lot of the creators, a lot of the storyboard artists, et cetera, for example, like Doctor Who's, or, I think they're calling him Time Turner now, that's the storyboard artist, that's the layout artist who put them in there. And the way they've always worded it to me when I've talked to them, and maybe you guys can tell me if this is how you view it, is that those background characters are, in a sense, the fans' characters to do what they want with it. And that if these guys come in and impose their writing on it, it kind of changes that, right? So for example, in the fandom, everyone knows about Lyra and Bon Bon. Well, if they ended up writing something to impose on that, that would change how the fans approach it. So I think they leave the background characters. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, we actually don't really think about the background characters very much. In our scripts.
But now there are ones that do sort of have identities.
Yeah.
We will sort of mention, they won't, maybe they won't have lines or whatever, but like say there's a party and there needs to be a DJ at the party.
Octavia,
there's a
then?
particular DJ that will probably play that party.
And it's funny because the background characters we gave them different names in the scene in Applebuck season. There's, when the cows are running through and ponies are fainting, I had different names than I think what you guys came up with, and that's fine. I just needed to name them something as they're fainting and freaking out. So that you guys then give them a different identity and they live those lives. That's really awesome.
I'm going to ask the question everyone in the room is thinking. Do you remember any of those names that you originally named them?
They were all flowers, is what I'm remembering.
I think they still are.
Are they still flowers? Okay, that's what I'm not. I didn't know whether those names stuck or what happened. So. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just want to congratulate you guys on the work you guys have done. Thank you. And I have a question. You guys got the voice actress Tara Strong to work on the show, and she's considered to be one of the best voice actresses currently. Is there any plans possibly to, I was thinking maybe pair up Tara Strong with maybe like Stephen J. Blum, or possibly like two in like one episode, and I don't know, just.
Do you mean like in a future episode?
Yeah.
That
I can't ask about
yet?
future episodes, but I'm asking, was there ever any? Did you guys ever try and get Stephen J. Blum on the show, or?
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
Oh no.
It's okay. I'm all right.
Great, make
Okay,
I want to know who it
that was
is.
my question. He's done.
Oh
no. He's played like every character ever on any anime.
Most of
ever.
all of the voice casting, with the exception of Tara, happens in Vancouver.
Okay.
Because the production of the show actually, the writing all takes place in LA, but the production all takes place in Vancouver. So the pool of talent that they pull from the show for the show is primarily comes from there. So it would, but if there is a character that we were like, this is the guy who has to do this voice, then we would try to fight for, so.
Like Oprah.
Like Oprah, for instance. We would fight for.
Hello. I have a question. It involves something with characters, and you guys make characters like Applejack and Rainbow Dash, and you make them all so unique. And I'm working with friends to make something like your show. You know how Lauren Foss started the show. Me and my friend are doing something similar, and we're trying to make a show too. And hopefully, maybe you'll see it someday in the future years. And I was wondering, how do you make such in-depth characters involving like individuality and what makes them specifically unique?
Well, some of that is developed prior to a show actually being greenlit or accepted. You really have to come forth with a Bible or a concept in which the characters have specific attributes. But part of the joy of writing and developing a show is that new personalities and new things about those characters are developed by writers or storyboard artists. Is there any character in My Little Pony in which you wrote something and then that became the personality or part of that personality?
I definitely feel like there's catchphrases and stuff, but I think you're asking more like how do you really develop sort of individual characters that have these sort of really individual
Similar
attributes.
kind of personality kind of thing.
And I think, what's so great about the show, and all credit to Lauren, is that she really did create these characters with very distinct personalities. And I think you have to find, if you had to boil a character down to one thing, what would that one thing be? And then what is their biggest flaw? What do they want the most, and what's their biggest flaw? And trying to make the characters that you're doing within one show all different in that way. But you want to have that one identifiable thing when somebody sees it, they go, I know how they would react if you gave them a puppy. And you could do that with any of the characters on this show. If you gave Applejack a puppy, here's what she would do. Here, if you gave Rainbow Dash a puppy, here's what she would do. And they would all be very different with that puppy. But it's something simple like that. Take a very simple situation like that and say, how would my character react differently to that in an identifiable way?
I think another element of the depth is you look at what happens in between the episodes, and the different pairings. Like Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy knew each other before any of the others because they grew up together. or Applejack and Rainbow Dash have kind of similar personalities. They have a little bit of a rivalry. You know, if you look at how they pair up with each other, that reveals something about them too.
Kind of like a bit of a similar personality in a way, because they're both very determined. Both have a very determined nature, except Applejack's is that differs is that she's more cautious than Rainbow Dash, whereas Rainbow Dash is more reckless.
Right, so even within that character, you can have a trait that seems very similar, but the way they behave or the way they showcase that trait makes them different.
Well,
You can also do it with opposites too. Like there was the sleepover episode where you put two characters who are completely opposite together and see what happens.
And Applejack do not go good together.
Well, and you know, you've said at other conventions as well, M.A. Larson, that you view the show in a sense like that you write it like a sitcom. That's how sitcoms really are developed. That it's that, you know, you take the two different characters and you put them with each other and you imagine the reaction.
Yeah.
Well, we're running a little bit low on time, so we probably got time for maybe one or two more questions.
But I'll say really quickly, if you have a question and you didn't get a chance to ask it, we're all on Twitter. Well, I'm going to go ahead and speak for them, but we're all on Twitter, and if you didn't get a chance to, and you can put your question in 140 characters or less, then tweet it to me, and I'll try to answer back to you, because I know we always...
I should also mention that there is another writers panel tomorrow, so there will be more time for Q&A then as well. So,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Please excuse my lack of voice the one day of the week I need it. I have a question about Hearts and Hoofs Day. For Meghan, was it in the original script for Sweetie Belle to interrupt a funeral, or was that something added by the story panelists?
I'm going to say somebody else is responsible for that. I've written some crazy stuff in these scripts, but I don't recall writing that. I bet that was a board artist having some fun. Yeah, that's fun.
that sounds like a storyboard thing. So.
Yes, definitely.
Samsy.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I think one more question, and then.
Hi there. First things first. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. My question is about Super Speedy Cider 6000, and excuse me for getting the name wrong.
I know how you feel.
I know, whoever came up with that is the most evil person on the planet. But when you came up with the Morrow, how did the thought process go? And was it just a giant troll? That mission accomplished.
We broke the whole story down, and the day was getting long, and we were like, we don't have a moral. And they sent me home and just said, see if one comes up. And it didn't. And so I wrote it like that and said, what about this? Can we do this? Because there's a backdoor moral. I mean, she says I didn't learn anything, but then she says, I already knew my friends, whatever. So we just said, let's try it. And then the hub was like cool about it. So there you go.
Awesome.
Now, before we wrap this up, well, I know we do because, Amy, there was someone I should be calling on, right?
Yeah, Ohad?
Oh, could you say that again?
Ohad?
Ohan? All right. He's got a flag. And I should say I've been receiving text messages, the whole panel from full papers in Britain, making sure I called on him. So.
That is amazing. Now that I did put in.
That's awesome.
Are you going to say anything, or am I going to say something? Me? Okay. So a certain fan could not make it to the con, and he was very sad about this. He has requested that I deliver some items to someone. Open.
Thank you, sir.
I think we should say who this is coming from. Yeah, if you haven't figured it out, full papers.
What's happening? Fantastic. Oh, speaking of the Morrow.
And a script.
What is this?
At Midwestria, Mitch and Full Papers attempted to sing the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 2000 song.
6,000.
6,000, sorry.
6,000 was an earlier failed
Sorry, that
model.
was a bad model. And it's a hard song to sing. And so this is, in reference, a gift from Full Papers.
You're a funny guy.
And I just want to say that Full Papers was texting me the whole panel saying, make sure there's time, make sure there's time. So drink siren and learn nothing, you got at least the ability to do half right there.
He highlighted my part because I couldn't remember any of the words.
So, okay, well, guys, give him time. He's got to study it first. So, guys, I think we need a big round of applause for the writers. Cindy Morrow, M.A. Larson, Amy Keating Rogers, and, of course, Meghan McCarthy.
And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there's a new episode that's going to be on sometime soon. So maybe check that out.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.